Good morning, afternoon, evening, and welcome to Concerned Citizens Presents, a new offering on Village TV. Concerned Citizens of Laguna Woods is an organization committed to peace, social justice, economic equality, and a clean environment. For the duration of the lockdown, instead of its usual 2 meetings a month, Concerned Citizens will broadcast 2 programs a month on this channel. Our programs will feature films, lectures, and debates on topics related to our mission. We hope you enjoy today's program.
Welcome to Concerned Citizens Presents. My name is Suzanne Modell, and I chair the committee that produces these broadcasts, all of which originate in Laguna Woods Village. Laguna Woods is a diverse retirement community in Southern California that is populated by some 16,000 fascinating residents. About 20% of our residents identify as Asian Americans. Within that group, about 5% are Asian Indian. About a quarter are Korean. Nearly half, 45% of the Asian Americans in Laguna Woods identify as Chinese. As a way of learning more about Laguna Woods' Chinese community, I have invited Nelson Marr, one of our Chinese residents, to chat with me. He's going to give us an immigrant's perspective on coming to America, adjusting to America, and contributing to America. If there's time, I will ask about his views on America's immigration policy and about relations between America and the two Chinas, Taiwan and the People's Republic of China. Welcome, Dr. Nelson Marr.
Thank you very much.
To begin, Dr. Marr, please tell us something about where you were born and raised.
First, I'd like to thank you, Concerned Citizens, invited me over. Okay, I'm very happy to be a resident at Laguna Woods, so I'd like to tell you something about me. I was born in China, southern part of China. The city is called the Kunming. Kunming is a capital of Yunnan province at the time when the Japanese invaded China. So I was a baby at that time. Then my family moving around because of war. Until 1945, when the Japanese was defeated at the end of the World War II, and our family just moved from mainland China to Taiwan in 1945. In fact, at that time, Japanese still there. I saw the national government put the Japanese in the camp, shipped back to Japan. So at that time, my father was an engineer. So he got a assignment and went to Taiwan trying to restore all the factory because of the most of factory damage during the war. So I moved with my father, went to Taiwan. Then at that time, I witnessed one is the Japanese defeated and Taiwan returned to China. That's the real experience I had. The second experience witnessed very interesting was that I watching the Chinese government slowly lost control of entire China, moved to Taiwan. And the entire China was controlled by Mao's communist government. That's another big thing I witnessed. So I spent my youth time all the time in Taiwan. I grew up in Taiwan until I graduated from college. At that time, I could still stay in Taiwan, work in Taiwan. In fact, I have very good job. At that time, I worked for American NCR Corporation. At that time, I was probably Taiwan the first programmer, okay, doing the computer programming.
What year, roughly what year?
It was
about
1965. Then I decided, because an engineer, I always looking for more education because of the science area always progress so fast. So at that time, I could go to Japan because I still speak some Japanese. I could go to Germany. They have very good technical skills.
Could you explain why is it you could speak Japanese? Our listeners might not understand that.
Okay, because I was at 1945, when I went to Taiwan, my first grade education was completely in Japanese. Because the national government hasn't been able to send the teacher over. So I had my accent in Japanese very good. So I speak some, really, but after graduate college, and I could go to Japan, go to Germany and the United States. Ended up, because of, I don't want to depend on my parents pay my tuition stuff. Whoever give me money, I go. So American ended up giving me scholarship. So that's what I ended up in United States. I consider myself lucky, and I live very, very fantastic time, very special time.
Can you tell us about how you came, where you first came, where your scholarship was from, and how you came to America?
I came to America in winter, 1965, winter. And I got a scholarship from the University of Tennessee, Tennessee Technological University in Cookeville, Tennessee. And I came here, the first place I stopped by is Los Angeles because I have a friend. He studied graduate school at a USC. So I first have to find a friend. And then because I came to United States in winter time, during the Christmas time, and the school started in 1966, September. So I have a 9 months time to make some money and also to improve my English communication capability. So it worked out well. So at that time, because I'm an engineering, very easy to find a drafting job. The most amazing that time, I did not know I had a job in Beverly Hills. I don't know what is Beverly Hills. I just got hired doing the land developer job. So in general, I was pretty happy. Everything very smooth, no problem at all.
Getting jobs was easy then.
Oh, so easy. I could tell a whole story about just using telephone, call the company. Do you need somebody? Within half day, I got hired. Yeah, very easy, very easy.
I'm sure young people today are pretty jealous to hear a story.
They are. That was a great time, beautiful time.
So then you went to Tennessee. Was that for your master's degree?
Yes, I went to Tennessee for the master's degree, and also that after 9 months, I quit. My boss told me, why you quit? I said, well, I went to graduate school. He said, well, what graduate school? Why do you need a graduate school education? Okay. But I told them that's my commitment. I come to United States with a visa to go to school. I said, I have to go to school. So that's what I did.
And so when you finished, well, let me just ask you another question. Were there any other Chinese people in this community? I do not recall the name. And what did you say? Cookville, Tennessee, or
Cookville, Tennessee is in the middle between Knoxville and Nashville, Tennessee. It's a small engineering school. And they happened to give me a pretty good scholarship. And so, at that time, I really don't want to depend on my parents. And somebody gave me a scholarship to study. Why not?
Yeah.
So,
well, I might just
naturally.
mention that in terms of people in Dr. Ma's position, this was not unusual. That there were people from Taiwan in the 60s and 70s studying in small universities in small towns all over America at that period of time. But you didn't stay in Tennessee, did you? You moved on. Tell us about that.
It's very interesting because of my wife. We met back in Taiwan in a college. So when I was in Tennessee, my wife came to Tennessee. So we got married in Tennessee. But my wife, she's a professional trained as a clinical pathologist. So she wanted to go to Ohio State for her master's degree. So after we got married, Sarah went to Ohio. And I stayed there until I finished my master's degree. Then I went to Ohio, Columbus, and find a job, design highway bridge. But interesting enough, one day, Sarah came home. He told me that, hey, Ohio State Engineering Department looking for graduate student.
Looking for graduate
Yes,
students?
because they wanted us to not only study, got a degree, also we doing the assistantship, helping the undergraduate student.
Yeah, they're looking for teaching assistants.
Yeah, teaching assistant. So I applied and got in.
Right.
So
and they're going to pay you. You don't have to pay them. They will pay you.
Absolutely. I was happy. Somebody paid me and study. Why not?
Exactly.
So I ended up got my PhD degree from Ohio State University. And the whole process very smoothly. I got my degree and my wife got her master's degree, work in the hospital, everything in good shape.
How long did it take you to complete your studies?
Oh, I was 3.5 years. I was very lucky.
That's pretty fast.
Yes, and that time, because of my first baby girl was born in Ohio, I told my advisor, say, well, because of the baby just born, cry at the evening, so could I delay 1 year graduation? He said, no, you have to handle. He said, well, got a PhD degree. It's not about how much you learn. It's about how you could handle difficult situations.
You mean how many balls you could keep in the air at the same time?
Right. So I complete my job and my degree, and I got a job immediately. So everything's smooth.
So you went on the job market. What year was that, Dr. Ma?
At that time, seems to me it was a little difficult. 1972, 72. And
did you look for jobs everywhere, or did you want to stay in Columbus? What was your plan?
I look for a job not based on location, based on the type of a job. So I ended up in the Bechtel Power Corporation.
Bechtel.
Bechtel. That's
a pretty famous company.
Very famous company that they build the Hoover Dam. They do many nuclear power plants. So
Ah.
I designed nuclear power plant. In fact, the one from the Orange County to San Diego, San Onofre. You drive to San Diego, on the right-hand side, you see the 3 big ball there. The containment structure, I designed it.
That's
Okay.
a pretty controversial plan
Yes.
at the moment. Would
Yes.
you,
Yes.
but when you were working on it, it was a good project, yes?
We don't know at that time. Really, I'm just a kind of like a mechanical civil engineer. I'm not a nuclear physicist. I do not know the impact of a nuclear fuel stuff. Our job is design a good containment, can sustain the high seismic, and also if airplane hit the dome, it will not explode, crash.
Uh-huh.
All those things
What about
are
earthquakes?
earthquake very much. That's most of biggest concern because it's a
Earthquake
close to the
region.
earthquake region. Yes,
Uh-huh,
yes.
uh-huh, mhm, mhm.
So far it stands, but it's a shutdown, but
That's
it's still
correct.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
still there.
right. So what? I'm just trying to get let me ask you this: did you live in many different places during your career as an engineer, or did you tend to spend a lot of time, like here in Southern California? Tell us a little bit about the
Oh,
geography
yes.
of your career.
I first of all arrival in South Tennessee, so I learned about the American South culture, everything.
Right.
Even sometimes had a little accent at that time.
You
Okay.
had an accent.
No, now I don't have it after so many years. But then went to Ohio and spent 3-4 years in Ohio, Tennessee. So I've been driving all around the East Coast, South, and my first job very short. Ended up before went to Bechtel, I went to the Flow Corporation in Houston. But ended up, what happened, Houston is too hot, very hot weather. And
well, it's not hot in Taiwan.
Oh yeah, compared with Taiwan is about equal. But since I was in California before, I really like the kind of weather. Naturally, my wife say, hey, why not? Going back to California. So
but
that's
your
why.
wife wasn't here. You were here without her, yes?
Oh yeah, well, that time we are dating. At that time, so, yeah, she was in Loma Linda University, and I was work in the Beverly Hills. We met
you didn't tell
every
us that.
Saturday, so it's a wonderful time. And then because of we like the weather here, so
yeah, we like it. We all like it. You're right.
We ended up here. Yeah.
Very smart. I see.
Yes.
So you were looking for something more permanent in Southern California.
Yes, yes. It is very important weather. Yeah.
There's also a larger Chinese American community here.
Yes,
than I
it is
suppose.
also. It is also, yes.
And you
very
can go
convenient.
you can, yeah, right. You can be with your countrymen, and you can also get to Asia fairly easily from the West Coast.
Yes, Los Angeles is so convenient. Go to Europe, go to any places, so easy. So
where did you work? Where did you live? Did you live the longest here? Or you want to tell us about your longest job and where you lived the longest?
Oh, the longest is 1973. We moved to Irvine, California. And that time, my wife worked for UCI Medical School. And that's why we ended up living in Irvine since 1973 up to then. This is the longest time we live in the United States in Irvine, California. Then we moved to Newport Coast because it's closer to the beach. better
Right,
stuff.
right.
So we enjoy this area, not only climate, the environment, the convenience, everything is pretty good. So our 4 children all grew up here.
Oh, now
And
tell us about the 4 children. We haven't talked about that at all.
oh,
So you told
the
us you had your first daughter was born in Ohio. You told us that.
yes. My 4 children all doing very well, and most of them went to Ivy League stuff. My first daughter went to Brown University.
Well, wait, were they
sh-
all raised in California?
No,
No.
my number one daughter married to a plastic surgeon and practiced in San Francisco. And my number 2 daughter is in the banking area, and she is living in the Geneva,
In
Switzerland.
Geneva.
Yes,
Wow.
she is a CEO of many companies, so she's doing very well in the
But she
financial
was,
tech.
and
Yeah.
where did she go to school?
She went to Claremont McKinley
Oh, right here.
and undergraduate, then went to Berkeley, got an MBA stuff. So she went to then she went to the JP Morgan, and that she in the banking industry. So my number 1 daughter in the medical area, number 2 daughters is in the financial area. And number 3 daughter went to Boston University and in the information science area. So she is now working in San Francisco with Salesforce. And she's a technology director or something. In the technology area, doing very well. Then I got a 3 daughter, and then my wife really wanted to have a son. So finally we got a son, number 4.
Your wife, not you.
Yeah, is a son. And he is already, now she's married, and he graduated from Carnegie Mellon University in computer science, then went to the intellectual property area. So she's a practice intellectual property lawyer today. So all of them married, doing very well. We have 6 grandchildren so far, 6. And my oldest grandson is a 2nd year at Brown University. And the oldest granddaughter just got into Yale this summer. So
congratulations.
pretty good. I'm pretty happy.
That sounds great. You should be very proud.
Uh,
Now, let me ask you a slightly different but related question.
Okay.
So you have you spent most of your time here in Southern California. Did you have opportunities to go back either to Taiwan or to mainland? Could you maybe tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I had I went to Taiwan more often, and because of I spent years in Taiwan, I know many people, so very simple to go to Taiwan. But for mainland China, because of I left China very early, 1945, I never spent one day under the communist control, so never one day. So I went to China the first time was asked after the Nixon visit China, they established the formal relationship stuff. Then I went to China, but always I went to China or Taiwan as a vacation. I never do. I'm not doing any business. I just vacation. I pay myself. And most of the time, I join the organized group tour because China is so huge, so large. So I have I needed to visit a different part of China. The best way is to join the tour as a tourist. They arrange everything for me, so why not?
And do you have any relatives? Either on the mainland still or on Taiwan?
No, most of it is a distant relative.
Distant.
as not a close relative.
Not someone you have been in touch with, or you haven't gone to see some long lost hometown or something
No,
like that.
no. I did visit my hometown in China, and also
Where is that?
I did it's in Zhejiang Linhai. It's about right now they have a high-speed train, almost about 2-3 hours train ride to Linhai. That is a very prosperous area in south part of Shanghai. And so I did went to my hometown. I did visit my grandparents' home. Also, I did spend the time to find my family book,
Tombs?
family history book. And I spent months in Shanghai studying it. And so finally, I know that my family has continued for 2,500 years, all on record. And everybody's name and when they born, when they die, where they live for 2,500 years. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now we should maybe explain to our viewers, if you recall, Dr. Ma was born in Kunming, which is in Yunnan province.
Yes.
But when I asked him about his hometown, what he's telling us is he's telling us about his Laojia, his home place of his family, because his family was moved as a result of the revolution and the Japanese War and so forth. They were in Kunming when he was born, but that is not his real hometown.
Oh,
right?
it's not, because we were even a visitor there, almost like a visitor. And Kunming, we don't know anyone.
Right.
And then after I born, because of war, my father carried me, just move. And so we, at that time, we moved many places.
Right. Yeah. So this is really quite common, actually, among people who moved as children from China to Taiwan, that in fact, they have a family, an ancestral home on the mainland that they may or may not investigate later in life, but that about which they actually don't have much personal experience. Now, let me just ask you another question. Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have 2 brothers. I don't have sisters.
And they were also then in Taiwan?
No, after they graduate from college, they almost like me. And all of them are technical oriented. Even my younger brother, 2 years younger than me, and we almost came to United States at the same times. And he ended up working for IBM all his life. He is involved in the manufacture of microchip stuff in IBM.
So are they both younger than you?
He's both younger than me.
So they followed you. So you came to America. This is also
I don't know. I would say that most of the engineering or science students always looking for a better education, more education, advanced education, because that's automatically bring them better job, better pay, better everything. So I think this is a natural phenomenon for most people in my background, like my brother and stuff. So.
Yes, no, well, that's true, but it is interesting. It sounds like you were the leader, and you did very well, and and there was also a lot of demand, which we have to say is not so much the case now. So that people could come, and once they graduated and they had a degree, there was no question about their finding employment and their ability to get what we now call green cards or permanent residency and transition into citizenship. But now that situation is very, very different, and there are many more. So now we understand a little bit better why going back to Asia for you is not so much about visiting family, right? Because, and your wife as well, are her siblings also came to America?
Yeah, her sibling come to some come to American, some not, and depends on their own choice. And very interesting at that time. If you want to come to American, you have to pass a very tough examination. You have to pass the language testing. All those things are all the hurdle you have to get over. And so it doesn't mean you want to come to American automatically you can come. You know, you have to really prepare, study everything, and then go to your field. Once you go to field, you feel it's a opportunity difficult to get. So you have to really study hard. So
Well, you're talking about a student visa, right? To get a
student visa, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I would say actually, it's still not that hard to get the student visa. What is hard is to get the money that you got.
Oh yes.
Become a teaching assistant, because we have enough people. But even so, we do have at the present time, I believe there are close to 300,000 students from China and Taiwan studying. But when they finish, the job market does not welcome them the way it welcomed your generation. The opportunities are.
It is true. It's this is kind of reality everyone has to face. And at that time, I got my PhD degree. I have an offer. For example, I could go to Singapore, and they welcome me, very much welcome me. I go to Thailand. Thailand, the university want to hire me, but I ended up because of I'm married. My wife. So if we want to move, both of us need to find a job over there. So it's a complexity. So for me, it's a very smooth, and then my wife would like to come to California. So we are here.
Well, I think that's a good idea. Could you tell us a little bit about, obviously you weren't that far away, but how you heard about Laguna Woods, and when you came and why you came to Laguna Woods?
Oh, very simple. I live in Irvine. All my children grew up in, some of them even born in Irvine. And when they were young, all my children involved in the performances, dancing stuff, singing, dancing stuff. So from time to time, they come to Laguna Woods to perform, entertain senior stuff. So we heard of Laguna Woods a long time ago, but that time I don't think I belonged to, okay? That time I was young, 30, 40 something, so young. But until I retire, I find out Laguna Woods is a very good senior community. So I convinced my wife, very difficult, convinced my wife, bought a condo in Laguna Woods. Initially, I told her that we're going to spend part of our time in Laguna Woods. I could play golf, could do all those things. But ended up, we are spend more time in here. Now we are spend almost 100% time in Laguna Woods. We feel extremely comfortable. And particularly after this pandemic, we feel Laguna Woods is a very safe community. It's a close community. Even you could walk around without fear, without the, it's managing very well. Everybody has to wear a mask, go out, everything. Those are the discipline. And so we feel comfortable. And this is a nice place, nice environment, very convenient. You go to DMV, you go to any place, it's so convenient. So we are here, we like it.
Right, right. And we have a large and active Chinese American community here too.
Yes.
Yes, we do. That's right. Okay, let's shift a little bit then. This is a very interesting personal story. I think a person with as much breadth as you would have some interesting thoughts to share, maybe about some of the geopolitical issues of the day. So let me start with this one. What do you think is the greatest problem facing Chinese Americans today? Now, not so much in the past, but today. What here in America? What do you think? We haven't talked a lot about obstacles, but being an immigrant and being a minority, while it's certainly we've talked about the easy part and the good part, but there are doubtless some obstacles as well. So what
Well,
in your
yes.
view would you share with us? You think that Chinese Americans are facing these days?
We are facing today, one is that most of Chinese American concern about it is that the college admission kind of a quota system. For example, all the Ivy League almost has some kind of a quota system. And so we don't feel comfortable with this kind of quota system. And another people in the Chinese American in the United States is that right now the job opportunity become more difficult than it used to be. And so whether you go to find a job because you are Chinese American, whether people are going to treat you like they treat me before, we don't know. We don't know. And those kind of geopolitical impact may affect us, may not. Yes, it's a depends on.
Could you? So what you're saying is that to some degree, in terms of, if I'm hearing you right, both in terms of college admission or elite college admission and the job market, you feel that things are more discriminatory today than they were many years ago.
No, I don't call it a discriminatory. I personally, I never feel any discriminatory, but there are certain rules. For example, colleges, they have some kind of quota system trying to be equal treating every different races. But then because of they have to take care of each races has so many quota, and then ended up with that even our children has a very grades may not get into Berkeley, for example. Okay. Another thing is I don't think it's a discriminatory. In fact, right now the current situation, find a job is not easy. Okay, but if you have a right kind of skill set, and you can easily find a job. And particularly you go to Silicon Valley and those companies, they are not really hiring you, depends on your color, race, whatever. Depends on what you could do, what the knowledge is. So I don't feel, but there are definitely, if you go to the lower scale type of job market, maybe there is some racial issue or some people, because they look at your face, may treat you differently. But I personally, I never confront. All my children never confront those kind of issues. So it's not a big problem for me.
Okay, I understand. I'm not sure that some others might not feel there are some problems. And people I've spoken to of Chinese background, actually, assuming they have the right papers, and we're going to talk about that in a second, talk about immigration, but if they are residents or they have green cards, Asians seem to have more difficulty with promotion than getting hired. And they talked to me about moving particularly into management, particularly for immigrants, has been difficult.
Yes, I would say, what I say is speak about me, what my experience. And other people definitely, particularly for the Chinese, about the language issue, the communication issue. And they have to have the ability to distinguish. They don't get promoted because of language or personality or certain issue, rather than racial issue. So I try to ask people is that you constantly improve yourself, languages, presentation, everything, and then based on your luck, and but don't blame other people. That's the way I see it. Yeah.
Okay, fine. All right, let's shift a little bit because it really is related to immigration issue. So as I already mentioned, for example, we have over 300,000 Chinese students studying now. Most of them, not all, but at least half anyway, for graduate education. I would say, having done a little work in this area, that a large numbers of them would like to stay in America. But that's not going to be possible. So my question to you is, because I think you're sensitive to this issue, this was your own trajectory. What do you think about America's immigration policy? And in particular, if you could change it, or if you could recommend to President Biden, what reforms might you like to see in our immigration policy?
I find out is that I always have this belief, okay, any country has the right to set up their immigration policy, but the immigration policy have to have a purpose. The purpose is that depends on each country at a particular time. What type of people do you need? Okay, and for example, if American needed to have the talent people be able to competing in the world stage, then their immigration policy has to be opened up to attract those kind of people, the brightest, the smartest, the bestest people in the world. And not only the immigration policy needed to change, but also the attitude. You have to show you welcome them. You welcome them. Okay. Today, the world is pretty competitive. Like my case, okay. If I today got a PhD degree from the United States, then any country would like to hire me. And any country would offer their PR or citizenship, whatever. But at the same time, they have to really welcome me. If they don't welcome me, why I stay here, right? I don't need it to. So my recommendation to the United States is that the immigration policy needed to satisfy your need at a particular time. Maybe 100 years ago, America needed to hire some people with the muscle to work in the farm. But today, you don't need it. Therefore, your immigration policy needed to change accordingly. So it's a simple, to me, it's simple.
I should perhaps mention, because I'm not sure how clear our viewers are, America's immigration policy is nearly as confusing as its tax policy. So it's difficult. I could not explain it in 1 minute. But what I can say is that at the theoretical level, we admit a certain number of people from each country. And initially, at least, that number is relatively constant. So theoretically, we would admit the same number of people per year. There is a quota system from China, as we might admit from Jamaica. But you can see how many more Chinese there are. And in terms of that admission policy, the major driver is family relationships. Approximately 80% of immigrants who come and receive permanent residency. We do have many people here who are not permanent, who come to work, but who are not even on the road They don't have green cards. But in terms of permanent residency, if you wish to stay, as Dr. Maher has told us this wonderful saga about his family and how they have contributed to our country, then they most of them need to come not on the basis of their education or their skills, but about 80% come because they have a close relative, usually a wife, a husband, a daughter, a son, a brother, or a sister, or a parent who is already a permanent resident in the United States. And that's the way our system works. Okay, so I do think that your suggestions are well taken, and I actually do believe that we may be moving more in that direction over time. So let's move, finally, we're running slowly out of time. We have about 10 minutes left. Let's move to the world scene.
Okay.
And I would be interested in your opinions about, as a resident of both China, although you were small then, and a resident of Taiwan, we know there's quite a bit of tension between those two countries. And I wonder if there might be some views that you might have about how, again, how these tensions are evolving and whether something could be done to reduce them. What is your sense? You must be paying a lot of attention to that, given your heritage.
Yes. Thank you for this question, because of I come from Taiwan, and also I witnessed Taiwan as a return from Japan back to China. So for me, is that Taiwan and China, the conflict is a China domestic issue. Even today, to me, still is a China civil war, still continue. And during the time I was in Taiwan, I remember Chiang Kai-shek, we wanted to have a war going back to right. We wanted to recapture mainland, but at the same time, we are afraid every day mainland maybe come over to Taiwan. So this civil war is going on. So Taiwan-China issue is a China domestic issue, is a China civil war issue. I think that the Nixon and the Mao, they negotiated this policy back in 1971 is correct. The United States recognized one China, and also that United States asked to have a peaceful and unification, not the war. So I believe this is the best way. It has been working for years. So for a person from me, from Taiwan, I really like to see Taiwan Strait as peace. And there's no need to have a war. And but if somebody really wanted to create this Taiwan independent stuff, finally they invited to have a war. It is their choice. It's not what I could do. Yeah, I don't like to see it that way.
Well, I'm trying to understand a little bit better. So are you saying that that the current situation, I mean, when you talk about independence, you're talking about there are people on the island who would like to take stronger steps to separate the two.
Yes.
But there are also groups on the island who are eager, for example, was more the case in the past, actually, of trade relations and tourism coming back and forth. So are you thinking that Taiwan, that they should go back to, let's say, the situation 10 years ago, or do you think the relations should be even stronger than they were 10 years ago?
Well, I think this is as long as there's no external interference, like American got involved stuff. And this is a domestic issue. Let the Chinese people work out by themselves, okay? And so I think that both sides really don't like to have a war. So time will work out.
I see.
And So let the next generation, future generation work out. And because of Taiwan need to survive, their survival very much depends on China, okay? Very much depends. Right now, Taiwan's a trade most with China, okay? Everything with China. But I find that without external interference is the best thing for Taiwan.
So right now, for example, I read in the paper this morning that one of the issues in Taiwan is they are refusing to accept vaccine. Unfortunately, COVID is beginning to penetrate a bit in Taiwan. It's a new development, and there's a debate about whether they should accept a vaccine from China.
Not even they don't even initially do not accept the vaccine from United States or from any other country because they want to develop their own vaccine. That is a joke. That is a really joke because of the current government want to make money from develop their own vaccine. Instead, then they refuse to import a vaccine from any other country and willing to sacrifice people's citizens' life. That is unacceptable.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's very insightful. Thank you for helping us understand that. So they were actually hoping that they could patent a vaccine. Interesting.
Right.
Very interesting. Thank you.
So I hope everything should be peace because of as a person from Taiwan born in China, I really wanted to see the peace. And Chinese nature historically, China is not really a country like to invade other country. And China hasn't had a war for a long time. So I really wanted them to keep the same peace spirits and to be happy, to be in good shape. That's my wish.
Okay, well, we're almost out of time. Let me kind of conclude by just asking you, is there anything else, anything I haven't asked you, or anything else that you would like to share with our viewers, either about China, Taiwan, or anything else that people might profit from hearing from you?
Okay, the most important thing I believe is the U.S. and China relationship. I believe there's no conflict between U.S.-China. First, U.S.-China, there is no territory ambitions. China doesn't want an American territory. American doesn't want a Chinese territory. And in historical experience, most of war in the history because of territory dispute. When two countries, there's no territory dispute, and also two countries separate thousands of miles apart. And two countries are very large, have all the natural resources. I believe basically US-China should get along very well. In addition, American is a country very good in service industry that China needs. China is very good in manufacturing industry, American needs. So I believe there's a complementary each other. If we work together, we don't really pick on each other, we will be in good shape. And right now, because of some politicians, because of their own perspective of other side, and created some kind of a tension between two China. But my own view is based on history. This kind of situation only temporary. The long term, both countries will be work well. Also, United States is that they really should spend more efforts on the domestic affairs. We have too many problems domestically. We have a homeless, we have infrastructure, we have a drug problem, and we have so many problems. We're fighting so many unnecessary war, okay, around the world, and our economic inflation, all those things. If American focus on domestic, make Americans strong and more competitively, instead of demonize China, pick on China, drag China late, that would not make Americans strong. That would not. Our experience, we know those things. So American should be focused on domestic and also attract more talent people come to the United States to be more competitively. That would keep American to be #1 in the world. If we don't do that, then it may change. It's not up to us. That's my last minute, that's my view. People may agree with me, may not, but this is my view. Yeah.
Well, I think this has been a wonderful interview. I think that we have, first of all, profited from your insight and advice, but also I think that your life story shows us how bringing talented people to our country ends up contributing to the country, not diminishing the country. So, concerned citizens, thanks Dr. Nelson Marr for taking time out from his many philanthropic and social responsibilities to share his experiences with our viewers. And concerned citizens, thanks you, our audience, for watching this broadcast. We look forward to seeing you again next time.